and welcome back to the Shutter Sports Refresh, the place for the most recent sports news like the NFL Conference Championship games. I'm your host, Finn Noel, and let's talk about those NFL games. There were two games in the Conference Championships, one in the NFC, one in the AFC. The NFC game began at 3 p.m. with the high-flying offense of the Washington Commanders facing off against the ground-and-pound Philadelphia Eagles. For the Commanders to win, they needed their offense to outproduce their sorry defensive skills. Well, the Commanders' offense did end up doing well, but not enough as they had a few unfortunate turnovers that swung the game in the Eagles' favor. With the help of the famous tush push, the Philadelphia Eagles ended up torching the Commanders for 55 points and a ticket to the Super Bowl. The Eagles win this game. They'll be facing off against the winner of the AFC game, which was between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. This was the long-awaited rematch of the Bills and Chiefs as the quarterbacks Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen have faced off against each other many times in the playoffs before. So many times, in fact, that it was 4 of the last 5 years that these two teams have played each other. And just like those aforementioned games, this one would also come down right to the wire. On the 4th down, Josh Allen had nothing else to do but throw a miracle and hope that one of his teammates catches it. Well, that miracle throw ended up going right into the hands of a wide-open Dalton Kincaid, but he ends up dropping it as the Chiefs win once again over the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. The rematch of Super Bowl 57 is set for February 9th with, like I said, the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs will be looking for the first three-peat ever in NFL history, so this is a big Super Bowl to watch. The halftime show will be performed by Kendrick Lamar featuring SZA, so stay tuned for that as well. Sticking with football playoffs, the National College Championship was last week as well. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish took on the Ohio State Buckeyes in this one. Ohio State came to the game heavily favored, but quickly went down a touchdown in the first quarter. Ohio State then quickly roared back with 21 points of their own behind a great game from their running back Quinshon Judkins and a 70-yard rushing touchdown. The game then got out of hand for Notre Dame, who could not make up the difference of that explosive second quarter by Ohio State, and they would end up losing 34-23. Congratulations to Ohio State for their first national championship since 2014 and this year's national championship. Let's move into some NBA news now, where the trade deadline is just over a week away and the market is heating up. While only one non-important deal was made this week, there are definitely some important trades that are heating up. One name that is sure to be shipped out this year is Jimmy Butler, who has publicly asked out from the mid-tier Miami Heat team. Teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, Houston Rockets, and surprisingly Brooklyn Nets are rumored to be in on the small forward. The other long shots being the Golden State Warriors, Dallas Mavericks, and Phoenix Suns being in the cards as well. A team with some other distressed assets on the trade market is the New Orleans Pelicans, as they have Brandon Ingram and the injury-prone Zion Williamson, and they're both seemingly on the block. Other stars that could be traded this trade deadline are Sacramento Kings star De'Aaron Fox and the Chicago Bulls guard Zach LaVine. Let's move over to the NHL now. We'll do a quick standings recap for you. The Toronto Maple Leafs, Florida Panthers, Washington Capitals, Carolina Hurricanes, and New Jersey Devils all seem to be sailing into the playoffs, with the rest of the Eastern Conference seeming to be scrapping over the last 3 spots. In the Western Conference, it's the Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars, Minnesota Wild, Colorado Avalanche, Vegas Golden Knights, and Edmonton Oilers all in the driving seats, with the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames fighting for that last playoff spot. Now for some women's hockey news. It's early in the PWHL season, but last year's champion, the Minnesota Frost, and the Victoire de Montreal seem to be running the show with 23 points each. Currently, the Ottawa Charge and the New York Sirens hold the last 2 playoff spots just barely over the Toronto Scepters and the New York Fleet. Let's move into the Champions League for soccer now. After a month-long hiatus, they are back. So far, Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, and Inter have punched their tickets into the round of 16. Young Boys, Bratislava, Salzburg, Sturm Graz, Girona, Crvena Zvezda, Leipzig, Sparta Praha, and Bologna have already been knocked out. That's a lot of teams. The final games of the Champions League go down next week, so stay tuned for that. One big deal concluded in the MLB this week, with the Toronto Blue Jays signing Anthony Santander to a 5-year deal worth $92 million. This big signing comes in after the Jays fell short on many key free agents, leading them to pivot to Santander in late January. And with our baseball news out of the way, let's get into the last news of this episode, the Australian Open in tennis. It finished up this weekend. Alexander Zverev made the final after Novak Djokovic retired in the semis after just 1 set. The man that Alexander Zverev would face in the finals is Jannik Sinner. Sinner won his first 2 Grand Slam tournaments last year, winning last year's US Open, Australian Open, and the ATP Tour Finals. Zverev, on the other hand, has never won a Grand Slam, but has won 2 ATP Tour Finals in 2018 and 2021. And unfortunately for Zverev, that Grand Slam win would still elude him as Sinner took him down in just 3 sets, continuing his dominant past 2 years. Over in the women's bracket, Madison Keys won her first Grand Slam in 3 sets over Aryna Sabalenka, who was looking for her third Grand Slam. This finals win was the culmination of a ridiculous tournament for Keys as she beat players ranked higher than her in every single round except for 2. Congratulations to Sinner and to Keys. And that's it for this week's episode of the Shutter Sports Refresh. I've been your host, Finn Noel, and I hope you learned something and had a good time watching today. You can check me out on social media right down here. And don't forget about Shutter Sports Media as well as the writer for this episode, Lucky Roberts. Thanks so much for watching.